What's happening, guys? You've tuned into the Start Today podcast. I'm your host, Chris Cavallini, and today we have an awesome episode for you, as we do every time you tune in. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the content thus far. We're having a really good time doing it. We're going to keep it coming. It's funny because I do catch myself saying, today we got a good episode, but the fact is, we're going to set our actions up in such a way where all the shit that we put out is good and impactful and is going to allow the people who actually, not only listen to it, but action the shit, the opportunity to experience firsthand the results that will subsequently and shortly follow once applied. I am here with my co-host, Rick Schaff, who apparently has had an amazing morning. Rick, want to tell us about that?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago I came in and everything was going wrong. I talked a little bit about it, but this morning I didn't have anything pressing to do, and I woke up and it was just perfect. I had a great meal, a great workout. Went down. I have a little creek in my backyard. Went down there and was reading a really great book on personal development. Had the birds singing.
Yeah, fucking here we are.
Squirrels, it was awesome, man. And then I came back in and got prepared to come here and talk about something that seems pretty valuable.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
And also, we have Matt Gerard in here. And Matt.
Yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. We're ready to bring you a good episode today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this, man, because this is something that, so many people just fail to understand what they are capable of. They fail to recognize, the opportunity that is legitimately present and available to them every single day. And it comes down to a mindset. It's a mindset issue. It's a fact that people don't think the way that they need to think yet. Maybe some of you guys are and are on your way, but a lot of people just think that the circumstances that they're currently in are basically, that's it. And there really is very limited available options in order to move forward and to grow. And, regardless of where you're at, the fact is, if you want to move forward in a professional capacity, if you want to earn better opportunities, if you want to make more fucking money, and if you're somebody who's listening to this, all of these things will apply to you. You're going to want to do those things. In order to do those things, in order to get those results, you're going to have to look for ways to not only increase your worth and your value, but you're going to have to directly bring value to the organization that you work for. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you currently hate your fucking job or in a position that is temporary because, you're having to do whatever you're having to do to catch up on some bills, pay off some debt, and ultimately you want to do whatever down the road. Listen, right now you have the ability to start cultivating the habits of excellence, the discipline that you will need to take with you and to improve upon once you get to, look, man, the only way to get to where you really want to be is to first master and fucking dominate the thing that's in front of you now. You cannot get to the highest level without conquering all of the levels underneath it. How you do one thing is how you do all things, guys. And, if you're someone who thinks, well, I'm working for this place and I don't really give a shit, and I know that, dude, you're fucked up.
Which is probably most people.
100%. Mm-hmm. You're fucked up. And I'm not saying that in a condescending negative way. I'm saying that in a literal way. That is a flawed mindset, that what you are saying you want to do and deploying that mindset toward your existing circumstances is counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. And by thinking that way, you will never actually be able to get where you want to go. So the only way that you're going to be able to continue to develop, continue to grow, continue to manifest and produce better opportunities into your life is by adding value into your existing and present circumstances. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that today. It's a big deal.
It's huge.
It's a big fucking deal. Look, guys, there are some little shortcuts that you can take, right? A lot of you guys looking for shortcuts, looking for the quick and easy way. Well, I don't know that there really is that, so to speak, but I will tell you that if there was one, it would be to understand that if you want to grow and develop and move forward and get promotions and get raises and get better opportunities and to get to a point where you don't like despise what you're doing. I mean, some of you guys probably don't like what you're doing right now, but that's okay, because we know that discipline, which is basically the fundamental thing that is needed to accomplish success in all areas of life. We know that discipline is doing things that you don't like to do or even hate to do, but going into it and doing it as if you fucking love to do that shit.
Yeah, you have to treat each job like this is the greatest opportunity of your life, right? Even if it's something you don't like, that's fine. But if you
especially if it's something you don't like,
because that's how you get to the next level. Right?
Totally. So, right now, all of you that are listening, regardless if you work for a company, which the majority of you do, or regardless if you are an entrepreneur and have your own company, you have to understand that the path forward in a professional capacity begins and ends with you cultivating and developing an entrepreneur mindset. And I know some entrepreneurs that don't have a fucking entrepreneur mindset, which is a huge fucking problem and probably the reason the overwhelming majority of businesses fucking fail.
Probably. Yeah. People want to be the boss, but
they don't want to do the work.
Clueless, or they don't want to do the work.
Usually it's not doing the work, because when you do the work of your life, the personal development, you figure out how to do shit. Everybody's clueless in the beginning, but you do the work to develop yourself. You guys are doing the work right now by listening to this podcast. There's a huge difference between an entrepreneurial mindset and an average employee mindset. And guys, understand that the people who are continuously getting ahead and living amazing lives and always seem to like be in a better place, that are, out there working in companies, they're doing so and they're creating those new opportunities for themselves because of the fact that they have an entrepreneurial mindset. And what does that mean? An entrepreneurial mindset is basically a way of thinking and problem solving. You walk into a fucking room and you're scanning that room for ways and looking for things that could be done better.
That's exactly it. Because most people aren't problem solvers. They want to get in.
They're the opposite.
And they want to do bare minimum. But whenever you find the problem solvers that actually think about how to make things better, and we're talking about small things.
Yeah. It starts with the small things.
Yeah.
Because if you can't even pick up a piece of fucking paper that's on the floor, if you walk by a piece of trash that's in the parking lot of the business that you work in, if you can't even solve that problem, if you can't take pride in that, dude, I hope you like where you're at, because you will fucking be there for a very, very long time, and most likely sit back and fucking wonder why you see all these other people passing you and want to make excuses and think it's like, oh, there's no opportunity. There's no, dude, no.
Because most people's mindset is they see trash. Oh, that's Oscar's job. He'll pick it up. And then they go on.
Or I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
It's not my job. Like that's the main thing. Like,
and it's that mindset, that I guess that thought process towards that they carry that with them with everything.
Yeah, and they don't realize it.
Exactly.
They just boom, boom.
But when you go the other way and you look at that piece of trash, you go, you know what? I'm going to solve that. I'm going to take responsibility over that problem. Yeah. It's something that just basically begins to become ingrained in you. It's something that it's a character trait. It doesn't matter that you didn't do that. It doesn't matter that it's somebody else's job. The fact is, you're developing a mindset that is geared around excellence.
As you say, you're making a commitment to excellence. So you're striving for excellence, and that's the golden nugget.
Mm-hmm. An entrepreneurial mindset is basically you walking into an organization, walking into your workplace, and treating the work that you do, the environment that you are in, the people that you work with and work around, you're treating it as if it was your own, as if you were the one who owned the business, as if you were the one who was paying for all the shit, paying for all the decor, paying for like the in the break room, the coffee machine that nobody has cleaned in, a month. Little fucking things like that, man. It's becoming a problem solver. Just you're developing your mind in such a way where you're just constantly able to look, assess, and think about things that could be done better, because that is where value comes into play. Average people will walk into a workplace and they check all the boxes, right? They check all the boxes. They'll do the bare minimum that is needed to not get in trouble. And they will think that they're better off because of it. And they will think that they're doing a good job by doing their job. They will think that they should be rewarded for being with a company for a long period of time, despite the fact that they're still performing at the same level. Dude, I don't understand why people think like that, because if you just pull yourself out,
it's a terrible way to think.
It's fucking horrible. It's like I don't
understand it either.
What sports did you play coming up?
What's that?
Did you play any sports coming
football.
up? Okay. Day one, when you first started practicing, you were probably pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right?
I was 8.
Yeah, you were 8.
Yeah.
What happened after a couple of years, after the practice, after the games, after the lessons, after the failures, after the losses, after the wins? What happened?
You get better.
You get better.
Sure.
But you got better because you were getting more experienced.
Right.
How on earth could people possibly expect to be rewarded, to be rewarded with more opportunity, to be rewarded with a higher compensation financially, if they're legitimately, dude, if you're not growing, you're what?
You're failing.
Fuck, dude, you're dying. Like, you suck. Like, you suck. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to be mean here, but if you're in the same fucking position that you've been in for a long period of time and you're like still doing the same shit at the same level, like, you suck. Like, you're just not very good. And like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't know that, I hope our listeners aren't in that situation. But if they are, just understand that, like, the things that we're going to talk about here are going to fix that shit. Mm-hmm. Look, average people walk into the workplace and basically, they will work extremely inefficiently. They will work in a very disorganized manner. They'll focus on very low value, low priority tasks, and they'll do that super not structured and disorganized to the point where they feel like stress, which they in turn interpret as them working hard and doing a good job. Dude, it shouldn't. I'm sorry. Like, notice like the people that you see at like in your work environment and whatnot, like, that are killing it. Are they constantly running around like a fucking asshole, like looking like stressed and overwhelmed and fucking freaked and like panicked and whatnot? Like, the thing is, like, it's not about average people. What I've noticed is average people tend to wear the numbers of hours that they work, right? Like, hours that they put in, like doing their job and doing the bare minimum. They'll wear that around like as a badge of honor. Yeah. Like, I worked this so many hours. It's like, okay, that's cool. Not really, but what did you get done? What results do you have to show for it? You know what I mean? Because look, I don't give a fuck about how many hours people work. Like, if you're telling me, like, when I hear that, I know now, like, I recognize it, because I used to do that shit. I was working an insane amount of hours, but I really didn't have like much to show for it because of how I was operating. Right. And like, if the needle isn't fucking moving, dude, nobody gives a fuck. It's not cool to talk, to glow. It's cool to fucking get a lot of shit done in a short period of time. That's fucking cool.
Agreed.
Nobody gives a fuck about how many hours you work. What I want to know is, what results do you have to show for it? Mm-hmm. What's gotten better? How have you gotten better? How have you helped the company get better? How have you helped the people around you get better? All right. The normal, individual they're so quick to point out how hard they work, right? And like, I put in this amount of hours, whatever, but very often like you'll find that they're not exactly able to like articulate like actual contributions of value or literally anything productive that they've actually done.
It's true. I mean,
and they're so close to it, they don't recognize it.
Yeah. I mean, when I was doing photography, you could do a 10-hour shoot and put somebody through hell, but if you don't have good photos at the end of the day, what does it really matter, right? And you can do a 1-hour shoot and have great photos.
Yeah.
Much more efficient, right?
Exactly.
Happy.
And I'm glad that you said that. It's a good segue. When you decide to commit to the path that we are on, right? We're on a journey here at the Start Today podcast, a journey of reaching the next level. And that's going to be a thing that's always the case. When we reach that next level, we're right back on the path. Like you develop a mindset of someone who's always looking to improve. You become a problem solver. Like you have to look at ways to get more shit done in less time. And that's not just with work, man. That's with fucking everything. Mm-hmm. The most effective people are the most efficient people. That's a very, very simple thing that, we can all like look at right now with our existing responsibilities, sure, regardless of how full our plate is. Like your plate's full. If your plate is so overwhelmingly full, you're either someone like me who's continuously putting more shit on myself voluntarily because I'm not where I want to be or anywhere fucking close to it. And I'm willing to suffer, bro. I'm willing to endure that pain. But best believe I will have results to show for it. Yeah. Like you're either that or you are just not doing things
you're just
efficiently.
Disorganized, yeah.
Totally. So that said, guys, how can you get more done in less time? We just did a podcast where we talked about how to have the perfect day. And one of the things we're talking about is making sure you write down your targets. If you guys haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that. Look for ways to get more done in less time, minimize distractions, all that good stuff.
Prepared. I mean, you
totally.
You visualize the day, what's going to happen, prepare everything, make sure everything's covered. So, and when it goes 100 different ways, you have the answer.
Yeah. I mean, how are you going to add value if you don't have a plan?
Yeah. I mean, that's efficiency. Right, Murphy's Law comes into play. It always does, and then you have to go a different way.
And usually when like it's the worst possible time for it too as well.
Yeah.
But what areas can be improved upon? What areas right now? A lot of you guys are complaining about some element of your existing job description, your workplace, the company you work for. You're complaining about something. You're bitching about something that you actually have the ability to fucking sort out, to make better, to improve. But you decide not to. You decide to spend more energy bitching about it, being negative and resentful about it, talking about it in a negative, unfavorable way with your coworkers who also bitch about it. You spend more energy doing that than actually the energy that would require to fix that issue. And that is the thing.
So I was to say, we talked about excellence, right? A commitment to excellence, but it's a commitment to excellence in everything. The way you dress, the way you comb your hair, everything about a commitment to excellence. And you come into the office or the workplace and you treat your coworkers excellent. Treat them like friends, treat them like family, and change the atmosphere if there's a bad one. Take away any negativity and make everything positive. And I mean, what kind of effect is that going to have on people? Huge.
Massive. But
and those are things all in your control. They're easy to do.
Totally. Like we talked about, becoming a problem solver, solving little problems, whatever. Like a few weeks ago, I went into one of our coolers. I was either grabbing a meal or checking on something. And I knew there's a couple guys in there. And one of the lights, like the overhead lights in the room, was burnt out. Okay. And I'm like looking at these guys, like sitting there working directly under. I mean, literally, that was the first thing that I noticed when I walked in there. Instantly, my attention is on that. And I'm staring at that. I'm looking at these guys and I'm staring at that. I'm looking at these guys who are working in like a darker workplace than what the situation in there, the darkness is slowing them the fuck down. It's making their shit like harder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, how's it going? They're like, hey, what's going on? We're just killing the day. I'm like, yeah, I see that. I was like, what's up with this light? And then, one of them said, oh yeah, it's been out for a couple days, and I said something to so-and-so, whatever. And I said, okay, guys, let me teach you something. I was like, step out here, because it's cold in there, and I wanted it not be in the freezer. I was like, look, are you guys capable of changing a light bulb? And there was two of them like, you. Yeah, of course, you. I'm like, so why the fuck is this light bulb not changed? And it's like,
what did they say?
They just kind of like, it was almost like an aha, oh yeah moment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys,
it's true. Like they don't
understand.
Like
and that's what I'm saying. Like, guys, look, like these are the type of things that like you have to understand that people like myself, people like in leadership positions, the people that you want to impress and make a good impression upon, like these are things that we notice. And if we see someone who isn't resourceful enough or like doesn't care enough, because that's what it comes down to, is caring. Now, some people just don't know how to care. Yeah. Or if I see somebody who like just, I mean, dude, if you can't fucking change out a light bulb, dude, like that's like bottom of the barrel minimum wage shit. And the fact is like these people can, but they don't. And I'm talking about the people here, the people that were in there, they're newer people. Sure. And again, it's that situation, that scenario, dude. How many guys that are listening? How many times have you walked past an empty roll of toilet paper in your workplace? How many times have you seen a light bulb that was burned out? Something that didn't work, but you just, this thing is broken. Like that is the type of shit that I'm talking about.
I don't know anybody who's successful that when they see a situation that they can't contribute and help, they're not in there doing it.
And immediately.
I remember a funny story. Dan Long, who's very successful right now. I remember him telling me a story back in the day. He was at the Waffle House, and it was late at night, and there was like two people working, and all the food was backed up and all the plates, and he was hungry, and it was going to take forever to eat. So he went back in there and started washing dishes. He washed all these dishes, busted everything out, and sat back down, ate his waffles, and
problem solved.
Went on his way.
I get it. I get it.
But look where Dan is today. He was nowhere near that.
How you do one thing is how you do all things. I mean, we know that, right? Like, just it's taking pride in the details. It's understanding that everything that you're involved in, everything that you touch, everything that is around you is an extension and a reflection of you. And it's like you can't have like, this area where like, you're just a 10 and, this area you're 3. Like, that's not how winning is done. No. Winning is done by performing at a high level of excellence and at all times.
Everything you do.
At consistently high levels. No matter what.
Trying your best.
No matter how fucking good, no matter how much you like it, no matter how much you don't like it, you fucking do it the same consistent standard because you understand that is how you get ahead in life. And that is how you separate yourself from the fucking pack.
Right. And so the people that are sitting home thinking, okay, how do I start? We talked about it a little bit. I'm telling you, it's as simple as you go to throw something away in the wastebasket and you miss. You don't walk away.
Dude.
You'll pick the damn thing up and put it in the wastebasket because you know that's a commitment to excellence.
Dude, if you walk into a bathroom and there's an empty roll of toilet paper in there, I mean, this is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I've had multiple incidents where I almost lost my fucking mind because I mean, this obviously hasn't happened recently, but this was an issue. I would go into the bathrooms and I'm seeing empty rolls of toilet paper and I'm just like, dude, it is upsetting to me with somebody with my mindset, with somebody with the standards that I possess, with somebody who, I mean, look, I think it's a fair statement to say I do a lot for my team. I set things up in such a way where I'm optimizing their life for a very positive outcome. Yeah. I invest a lot. I don't think it's an unreasonable request or expectation to want to know that I have, like literally from the first, the beginning, bottom level entry employee to the top, that everybody in my organization cares enough to change out a fucking empty roll of toilet paper. I'm sorry. I don't think that's unreasonable.
I don't either. And it's odd to find people that don't think that way, but it's just not, don't think about it.
And understand it's not because I'm inconvenienced about the fact that I don't have toilet paper. That's not the point.
No.
I mean, I might not went in there to handle that business.
Yeah, sure.
I go in there and I'm disappointed to see that problem couldn't be solved by, I don't know how many people that walked in there and saw that, or the person that just left that like that and thought that that was okay. Because I know that if that person is doing that, that tells me so much about how they live their life in other areas. That just makes me sad because I care about the people here. I want them to fucking live the best life possible. And that's not possible if you're doing that shit.
That's so true, because whenever you become a problem solver, let's say you start doing it at work because you want to get ahead, but you're going to become a problem solver in the rest of your life. In your house, you're going to be fixing all the things that you would just let go to hell. But and your life is going to improve dramatically.
Totally.
Everywhere across the board.
Yeah, I mean, not, picking up that piece of trash or changing out that piece of, toilet paper. It's basically cutting a corner. And, one thing, like, I like to think of is, like, first thing, right off the bat in the day is, your alarm goes off, right? You can cut that corner and say, I can sleep in 20 more minutes. And you might just be able to sleep in 20 more minutes, but you're setting yourself up. You're taking the, the corner cutting mentality first thing off the bat in the morning, and then maybe you don't clean yourself as good in the shower. Maybe you don't brush your teeth as good.
Saying you start with the small things and it goes across the board. That's the way it works.
But you have to start with the small things. And that's why we're spending so much time on this.
And it sounds stupid, but it's important.
Not. Yeah, it's super important. It's super fucking important because it is the foundation.
And you know we're telling the truth because you've seen it. Like, you've seen it. Whoever's listening out there, you've seen it across the board. Everywhere you go, everywhere you work. Like, there's everybody that cuts corners. Don't be everybody.
No, be the opposite of that. And look, taking pride in the details, that's something you will hear often, on this podcast. This is something that you need to start developing, and it's something you need to implement at the absolute lowest level because it's building habits. It's building a mindset. And guys, I realize that you can't listen to this and then all of a sudden start thinking like that. You can okay, I respect that. That sounds good. It's when you actually action it, and then you start to kind of see like what happens and the pride that you feel, and then how it kind of starts spilling over into other things. Then is when you have that validation where, you'll be able to say, yeah, like what he's saying, that's absolutely right. It's like taking pride in the details goes way beyond changing rolls of toilet paper, making sure that, like, if you have a shipping label, that it's legibly and, placed on a box, whatever, that perfectly flush, centered and symmetrical. Like it's way beyond that. I mean, think about like, if you ever go out like on a Friday night or you go to some event, you get all like a new fresh outfit, you got a haircut that day, you're looking fucking good and you're feeling better because you're looking good. True. But the reason the reason that you experience those feelings of pride and confidence is because that is a situation that you're taking pride in the details.
True.
So we can do that in every area of our life, and we need to. Moving on, guys, look, if you want to guarantee your success, like literally just to guarantee 100%, not like, oh, maybe I'll try this thing. No, if you want to guarantee that you will be successful, continue listening to this podcast, of course, but you need to be working a minimum of 55 to 60 hours per week. Okay. And I know that some of you guys that are in 40-hour, work week situations, you're like, how the fuck am I going to get a second job? Perhaps not. Because the most important work that you do will not be the work in the workplace. It'll actually be the work that you're not directly compensated for. Yeah. It's the work on yourself, on your personal development, on learning, listening to shit like this, learning how to develop. I mean, the way you basically put yourself in a position that you're able to add value and you know what to do to add value is by continually increasing your knowledge. And then, of course, applying the knowledge. So the value of like what you are and what you're able to contribute becomes greater. Yeah. So in that extra time, like 1 hour a day, guys, you guys know the deal. If you keep up with me, you know that's Bible for me. Not reading the Bible for an hour. That's what my religion is, personal development, and spending a minimum of 1 hour per day, just because like I'm hooked on it, man. It's like the best drugs that gives you a better, like the high never goes away.
Yeah.
The results never fucking stop. You never get burned out on it. It never stops working. It's fucking like it's evergreen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So create your own opportunity through your actions by looking for ways to go above and beyond with every task you touch, because every task that you perform, regardless of how trivial, regardless of how petty you may in fact perceive it to be, there's an opportunity there to demonstrate the pride that you take in your work and to make an impact in some way. And honestly, it starts with the littlest of things. A lot of you guys, you might have to submit like certain reports or like little presentations, paperwork and stuff. Like sometimes I look at, paperwork that's submitted to me, or not just through employees, with the company, but just overall, like people send me shit all the time and they want me to get involved with their business and stuff. And it's like, I've seen some really nice, like just detailed, meticulous, organized, like, and that tells me that fucking person has their shit together, and they probably have a successful business or an aspiring successful business. And then you got people that send you shit like just in an email body with like misspelled words, fucked up, like it's like, dude, like, really?
Yeah, you got it. The little details say a lot.
I mean, dude, it says everything.
Once
it's like I see that, I'm like, God, you fucking suck. And because the way I am, I let them know. I don't say you suck. I will honestly tell them, like, listen, I appreciate you thinking of me with this opportunity. Here's a little feedback. All right, next time you might want to like learn how to spell the name of my company the right way, or you might want to make it like a little more clear. You might want to have, like, I give them the feedback. I said, because when someone like me sees that is an automatic red flag that you are not the type of person that I would ever consider doing business with. And I wish them luck, and I tell them to please take what I'm saying on board, because those little things that they currently don't deem as significant, like nothing could be more significant. Because if you can't even get that right, dude, what are you going to do when you have to solve some fucking big boy problems when shit hits the fan in your business?
It's true. I remember there was a director when I was really like in early 20s I wanted to work for. And I sent him a nice letter with a $5 bill attached to it. And I said, look, I know time is money to you, and I'm paying you $5 to read my read my request, because I heard Arnold used to hold his envelopes up to the light, and if there wasn't money in it, he'd throw it down. I go, and you're a lot like Arnold.
That's hilarious.
And he called me back a week later and gave me a job, and I started working for him.
You went above and beyond, and you separated yourself. I mean, God knows how much stuff was thrown at that guy, but you did something to separate yourself from the pack and get on his radar and basically put the spotlight on you to force the result that you were after.
I remember he called me. He was like, I took your money and I invested in some stocks and bonds. And then we went from there.
Nice.
It was just cool.
So yeah, the question now, guys, that you need to ask yourself is right now, how can I add value within the company that I work for? Okay. How can I make this place better? And guys, you have to understand, first of all, that you can. This isn't like some crazy, sophisticated, nobody's asking you to figure out how to launch a sister company or a subsidiary company or develop some like offshore like business. Like, we're talking about basic fucking shit, like making sure that the bathrooms are never in disarray. Maybe you create a checklist that maybe you don't have cleaning checklist for the bathroom. Maybe you create something like that, even though that has nothing to do, but you use that bathroom. So that has everything to do with you.
Mm-hmm. All that stuff gets noticed.
Dude,
everybody notices that stuff.
And it goes a long way, man. Not just like with that one thing. It's like, wow, okay, this person thinks like that. You know what? I wonder what else that they could come up with. Let's have them sit in a meeting and see what ideas they have. Yeah. Let's kind of, but again, you will never get into that meeting unless you first do something to put it out there and let people know.
Sincere too. You can't just like
do it one time. And
when the boss is around, like trying to it has to be sincere.
I mean, that goes without saying, right? And the thing is, people know.
They know.
And
the boss knows. The boss is smart. He's going to figure it out. But if you do those things, that's how you get noticed. That's how you stand out. The little things, like we've been saying over and over again.
What are ways that you guys can make the lives and the jobs of your supervisors easier? That's a big one. Okay. A lot of you guys that have disgruntled attitudes towards your supervisors, towards your bosses, dude, just know if you want to win like, that's not a very logical plan to feel that way. One would think, I mean, if you want to win, if you want to get ahead, you would want to be on your boss's good side. And look, the fact is, man, most people that say, oh, my boss is an asshole and all this, if you were doing what the fuck you're supposed to do, what you're paid to do, the way you were supposed to do it, when you were supposed to do it, I believe that your relationship with your boss would probably look a little different. That's just a fucking fact, man. Yeah. How can you make your boss's life easier? Well, I mean, you can, first of all, do the shit that you're supposed to do. That goes without saying, right? That's like step one. But look for things that you can do to proactively take things off his or her plate. Go and ask, hey, boss, what can I help you with? I finished my work for the day. What can I help you with? And when you recognize opportunity, don't ask, just do. That's a good
point.
Thing.
I like that. That's a good point. I like that a lot.
So, look, not just make their life easier. How do you make them look better? What can you do that will make your boss look like they're fucking doing a good job to their boss? That's a big deal. Reverse engineer those things and realize that, like, by making your boss look good, that will organically have positive consequences into your own life.
Sure.
Because your boss, in theory, I mean, even if he's not a very good leader, he's still your boss, and he's still your boss for a reason. Yeah. And eventually, I mean, look, if you want to ultimately be your boss, or your boss's boss, or your boss's boss's fucking boss, this is what you have to do, and this is how you have to think. You have to honestly, constantly look for ways to separate yourself from the pack where, let's say that, at the end of the day, there's, I guess, a checklist, a process where certain things have to be broken down, inspected, logged, lights turned off, things cleaned up, all that. Like, it's a process that's done every way. There's a standard checklist, but you need to set your actions up in such a way that if you're the one who's responsible for that, people can walk in that space, that area, like, and know without even looking at the checklist and who signed it, that it was fucking you who did it.
Yeah.
Because everything is above and beyond. Everything is not like only done the way it's supposed to, but like a step above. What is the things that you can do now and that you're supposed to be doing? How do you do it one step above what's required? How do you do it 2 steps? Yeah. If you can begin to think and operate like that, there is honestly...
And we're talking about even in a job that isn't your long-term career
especially
goal. Yeah, especially you take that with you, and you also leave behind the respect and honor that goes with it.
Dude, it's easy. It's
affect other people.
100%. It's easy though when you are very passionate and super pumped up about what you're doing. It's easy to go above and beyond because, like, you love it, whatever. But what really fucking means something, what counts and what is ultimately going to determine where the fuck you go in life is what you do with the things that you don't like doing when nobody else is fucking watching.
It's true.
Because the universe is always watching. And the people who are getting ahead are not getting ahead because they don't want to fucking turn it on when someone's looking, right? Yeah. They're not just doing an exceptional job when their boss happens to be peeking over their shoulder or like jumping in listening to a phone call or something. It's because they do the right thing all the time. They developed a consistent standard of excellence, which is a lot easier, by the way. It is so much easier to maintain a consistent level of anything than to have to deal with the stress of like, all right, sometimes I'll do it like this on the third Wednesday of the month. I'll do it like that's fucking crazy. True. Right? Yeah. Again, it goes back to being efficient. Besides, doing these things, you also got to look at the fact that you'll move up eventually by doing these things, by going above and beyond, by taking on added responsibilities. I mean, literally a couple times a week here, man. But it makes me proud every time I see it. I see it all the time. The culinary team typically gets done before the logistics team on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays when we have shipping operations going on. Every single shipping day, you're going to see around 4:30, 5, 6 o'clock, people from the culinary team helping out in logistics.
I've seen that.
And they're off the clock. They're heading out, leaving for the day, going through the warehouse doors, and they see legit, and they jump in there proactively. It's not because we're in a dire situation. I mean, that has happened and probably will happen again, but they do it just because that's like the culture here. They get it. They understand that that's what you want to do to get ahead. And not only that, they're not just doing it because like they think it's going to impress me. They do it because when you do shit like that, it makes you feel really fucking good.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
And, you know, once you do some of these things and you get recognized and you move up a little bit, I mean, which is going to happen 100%, provided you do it for more than a week. I mean, again, these are all things that go without saying, but sometimes I just feel like I have to mention it. Like you can't, like if you go into it with the purpose of just trying to look a certain way, dude, you're not, there's no way to sustainably
or instantaneously get ahead in a week.
Dude, this is something you're doing for you. For you, so you can learn to develop this mindset, so you can learn to be at a higher fucking level, so you can just dominate your entire life. And when you do things for other people, man, dude, that does not last. You're doing it for you. And what we all need to be very, very mindful of and aware of and constantly take note of is the fact that, you know, what you did last year, what you did last month, what you did yesterday, you've already been paid for that. Nobody cares. Companies, organizations, business owners, supervisors, people that are, you know, decision makers as it pertains to raises and promotions and things of that nature. They're looking at like, how have you contributed value lately? What have you done today? And again, when you have this mindset, that isn't something that you ever have to worry about. Because it, like I said, it is evergreen. As long as you continue to do this, it's like wherever you're at right now, like let's say you're a janitor, right? You're a janitor, you're at the lowest level of an organization and you come in and you legitimately kick ass. Like there's a couple other janitors, like it is evidence to everybody when you're the one who cleaned the office, when, you know, everybody left for the day. They look forward to the days that you're the one that does it because they come in, there's like, you know, like maybe like a little note that you left. Hey, have an awesome day, Steve. Hey, Cliff. Hope the family's good. Kick ass today. The little things like that, right? The place, the smells better. Everything is more clean and like it was left. You put it better than how it was left.
And you know, we talked about being nice to your coworkers before. That's one of the things you can do as somebody like in a position like a janitor. It's like smiling at everybody and, you know, making them feel good, having an interaction that leaves them feeling good about you and themselves.
We're gonna talk about that, specific examples of
it's huge.
Yeah, it's massive and underrated.
And you'll see it on the internet from time to time. You'll see somebody who like the whole school comes out to like do something hugely nice for somebody like.
Those are great moments, man.
Yeah, or a guard, officer, or something like that. It's awesome.
So, look, we talked about a lot of things so far. We're constantly looking for ways to go above and beyond. We're doing things to cultivate this mindset, to develop this pattern of thinking, to think on a higher level. And not because we're trying to impress anybody or obtain a certain outcome, but because we take pride in our performance, we take pride in everything that is in our world, and it just so happens that as a result of doing so, we will receive the benefits that we're talking about as far as creating better opportunity. How can you add value? Look, we've talked about a few little tangibles and whatnot, but the basic, you know, like the basic components are literally apply to any profession. And any profession. And, you know, the first one would be to find ways to get the job done faster. All successful people work fast. That's just a fact. Like, if you want to crush your competition,
I agree.
You need to not only work hard, but you have to work fast. Like,
and fast and efficient sometimes.
And immediately.
In specific businesses, that's incredibly valuable.
Dude, and immediately. Yep. Procrastination is the fucking killer of momentum and success. And successful people, if something comes up and they have the ability to knock it out immediately,
Dude,
They do.
every freaking day. I say, "What?" They say, "Why are you doing this?" I go, "Because I don't have to do it tomorrow, and I can do something else tomorrow." I'm sometimes up till like really late, knocking shit out and doing it.
Dude, there are times where, I've given someone a task and I have everybody here. Everybody's up on like planning their day, writing their targets down. So that's good. But there are times where I've given someone like a task. I'm like, hey, like make sure you do today and this done, whatever, do that. And like they're writing it down. And I'm like thinking to myself, why did you just write that down? Like legitimately the time that you just wrote it down, you could have actually done it. Yeah. So by taking immediate action, you minimize the potential of the thing falling off the radar. Something fucking happens, you get defocused.
If you're one of the people that says, tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow.
Dude,
you're fucked.
Then that's probably the story of your life.
Yeah, it just never works out. You get overwhelmed and shit sits for months and it just piles up and it's a big problem.
If you have the ability to do it, do it. And actually you might not want to do it, but again, this is a very easy thing that all you guys that are listening can do to start experiencing the come up in what we're talking about. Yeah. Look, the people who get things done fast are without question always the most valuable members in an organization. They're the ones who, not only get all the opportunities and stuff, but they're the ones who like get the most recognition. Like everybody fucking knows like, hey, you want something done? Like this is the guy that you go to. Exactly. And that guy's always looked after. That guy's job is always secure. And that guy probably has the ability at any given time to go get an opportunity wherever the fuck he wants, whether it's a better opportunity within the organization or somewhere else. Because when you create this value in yourself, it doesn't just make you valuable where you're at. It makes you more valuable, period. Yeah. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about creating value in a situation that you may not be, you might be crushing at the highest level. You might be just starting out. You might not like what you're doing, but the fact is, if you want to work your way up to a position that you actually like what you're doing, you have to do these things now, because the only way that you will get there and be given that opportunity to move up to something that you do like doing is by doing a really good job with a good attitude, taking pride in work and tasks that like you may not like to do, but that's not the point. Yeah. The point is you have developed a mindset of greatness, and you understand that the path forward, the way that you're going to get where you want to be, lies solely in the pride and the attention to detail that you take with the tasks that are in your fucking world now.
Do the little things. The people that don't go far don't do the little things. It's that simple.
And do them better than anybody around you. Yeah, you see how the people around you do them. One up them every fucking time. Seriously, if you want to crush your competition, look, and people might not want to hear that shit. Oh, I like Sally and Steve, like they're cool. I don't want to make them look bad. Look, you could think like that, but the fact is you're not trying to make them look bad. You're making them look good. Or excuse me, you're making yourself look good. Yeah. And hopefully, provided these people aren't like complete pieces of shit, hopefully they see what you're doing. Yeah. And like it compels them to want to step their fucking game up as well, which will in turn manifest positive results to their life. So change the fucking narrative. Stop looking for little excuses. Dominate the fucking people around you. Dominate every task you touch as if it was something that like dictated like a huge positive outcome. And honestly, that could be something like cleaning up like a spilled soda that somebody spilled and just failed to, like, literally do that with pride, do that with enthusiasm, do that as if you would do, a really, really high level task. And honestly, just watch what happens. Yeah. So, man, okay. Also, another thing about working fast, this is important. That is a huge leadership quality that when you're doing things fast and you're performing at a high level and people take note of that, that is very, very valuable, not only because you are getting more shit done, right? Which makes you better. The faster you work, the more shit you get done. The more shit you get done, the more experience you have. The more experience you have, the better you get, right? But also, like, the value beyond that is when you're in an environment where people see, like, they take note of that, and it organically will create a situation where they speed up as well. That's just a fact. When you're an organization and people are slow and don't give a fuck, like, the people that come in, they end up being slow and they don't give a fuck. But if you're in an organization where people move fast, they hustle, they take pride, they understand what they're doing, they understand the importance of the responsibilities and how it affects other components, dude, they get after it. And it's like an organic like thing that just manifests in a positive, productive way. So by working fast, not only do you become like the guy for the reasons that we identified as far as your ability to like get more done in less time and get better, but that is of massive importance because now you're bringing that's like incalculable amounts of value by having everybody around you speed up as an organic result of you doing that. And honestly, that's one that's underrated. Most people don't want to talk about it. Most people don't want to acknowledge that. Like most like companies probably don't want to, because they don't want to pay somebody more for that, right? Because dude, I'll pay somebody all day for that because I'm aware of that.
Sure.
Like that's a big one, and just another reason to move fast and with purpose. Again, we talked about little tasks coming up, knocking them out immediately. You know, the other thing is like, oh fuck, like if I move fast, I'm gonna get burnt out. Not true. The faster you move, the more energy you have. The more you move, the more energy.
Quicker time goes by too.
I mean, that's just a fact, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you get something done. You know, an object in motion will stay in motion too. So
what's worse, like just sitting around, like, oh my god, the time just drags forever.
Dude.
But if you're rolling and you're moving, that thing flies by.
Yeah.
I almost like to think of it like a plate. So like, you know, like I get, 3 to 5 like critical tasks that I gotta get done for the day, right?
Yeah.
And then there is always some other stuff going on, like organizing, some videos, some photos, some audio, something like that I gotta organize and get squared away. And usually, like, right after this podcast, we're gonna start, organizing it and getting it ready to go. So like, if I, put that aside, it's basically like taking a plate of food and just like mixing it around, throwing like a bunch of gravy on it. Right. Now your 3 to 5 critical tasks are just covered in shit, and it's fucking distracting, and it gets messy. It's messy.
It's true. Take care of it. Make it happen.
Yeah.
I agree. So we talked about 55 to 60 hours a week, working fast, all guarantors of success and continued success. Another way to, kind of like give yourself the unfair advantage, the competitive edge, you want to arrive early to work. You want to stay late. We talked about that before. And the reason for that, we didn't divulge into the reasons in the last one so much, other than like, traffic and being able to be set up and more. It actually, from a performance standpoint, it has a shit ton of benefits. If you arrive to work an hour early or stay an hour late, it is like, there's been studies that have shown that you can get 3 hours of office work done in 1 hour if uninterrupted and locked in.
I would say that's true. Yeah.
And we can try to say that, oh, well, I'm going to be locked in and I'm going to turn myself out of all these distractions, but that never fucking works, right? Like when you're in like if people are around you, it's not, it might not even mean things that like you're aware of. Sure. Like you could be, and then all of a sudden, like, next door you hear like they're fucking using a buzzsaw or some bullshit, like cutting a car, like, and it's distracting and it slows you down. Yeah. But if you come in early before anybody else is there, before the majority of people are there, you stay late, you have the ability to get done 3 hours of shit in just 1 hour. And honestly, that's, again, in every little trick, every little shortcut, guys. We have a society that's obsessed with shortcuts that don't work. Well, these are the shortcuts that do fucking work. Take advantage of them. What are the ways to add value within an organization? So again, talking about the specifics, we mentioned that. We'll give some more examples later on. But the way you add value within any organization basically it's like 4 things, right? How many things here? 1, 2. Yeah, there's 4 things. I have a 5th one. Like, you read books that'll tell you like the ways to add value. They're going to list these 4 things. I've listed a 5th one that I place value in, and I see a lot of value in. It's not something that is in any of the literature yet, but based off my experience, based off what I've seen, based off what I've built here and the way that we do things, I recognize it and I understand how valuable it is. We're going to get into those things, and I'm going to go down the list. one of the ways, the first way I've listed here, is to find a way to improve on an existing process. Comes back to, getting things done faster. Well, your company right now has processes in place or a way of doing things, right? Regardless if they're written out, formalized, or if it's just a way of doing things. Understand, I have this conversation every new team member that comes to Nutrition Solutions. Within the first 2 weeks, I have a little sit down one-on-one with them, want to know a little bit about them, and tell them a little bit about us, kind of get an idea of right. What kind of person they are. One of the things I always say in that introductory one-on-one is I tell them, like, listen, out there, and I'm like, pointing outside of my office, like, although things are being done a certain way and our company has seen a considerable amount of success, there's legitimately not one thing that is being done the absolute best way that it can be. So recognize that just because something is being done a certain way, that does not mean that doesn't, not only there's room for improvement, but you potentially have a better chance of identifying it because you're coming in from the outside as opposed to the people that have been there a while. And I'm like, look for that shit. And dude, people fuck up. Like, there's some things that are just like, people just don't say here because they know what the consequences would be. Right. And they understand that it's not the right thing to say. But if somebody comes up to you and you're someone who goes around saying, oh, I do this way because that's just the way it's always been done. Or dude, losers, that's a loser. Again, not negative, not name calling in the literal sense. That's a loser's mindset. It's okay to not know or understand why you're doing it the way. But if somebody's asking you that and it's for a reason, don't say that. Like, okay, where are they coming from? What are they getting at? What do they see that you do not? Look for ways to improve on existing process. And the beauty of improving on existing process is it is so much fucking easier to improve on an existing process than to create processes from scratch. Sure. That was probably one of the most painful things that I had to deal with. And I've dealt with a lot of painful things. That's a very hard thing because our company was growing so fucking fast. We went from not being legitimate to being semi-legitimate. And I'm like, shit, we're not really semi-legitimate. Like, my standards were just low. And now we're back to non-legitimate. And then you get to legitimate. It's like, you need process, but it's hard to actually document process when you're growing so fast because essentially the way we were doing things 1 month at the rate that we, started to grow in 2016, the next month, the next 2 months, that same way of doing things didn't necessarily work. So now that we have process in place, it is a lot easier to kind of look at what is being done and look okay, this is the best way that we're doing it now. How can I improve on this? How can I do this process? How can I perform in this process to where it takes less time, to where we can do it with less people? And it's like simple things, man, like adjusting like a table, moving. And again, most people's minds don't work like this. Entrepreneurs' minds do, or people with the entrepreneurial mindset, right? Like simply moving, like if you're having to go get a thing that they use for a job, whatever, here or whatever, like if you're having to take, X amount of steps to and from to go retrieve that thing and bring it back to by simply moving the location of those components, those tools, those parts, dude, you end up saving tens of thousands of dollars a year collectively when you add up the time that it takes to do that and how many times it's being done per day. Now, I know that could be a little above some people's cognitive level of thinking. It was for me for a long time. But dude, again, we talked about checklists, man.
Yeah.
Anybody, guys, if you're not smart enough to Google cleaning checklist or office checklist, I need you to just unsubscribe from the podcast immediately because you're not ready for this.
Yeah. And the beauty is you can Google a lot of things. You can do a lot of research pretty easily now, what other companies are doing that are competitors or something that's in alignment. And you can probably come up with some interesting help.
If I'm me right now, the way that I think and my level of intellect, and I have to go in a company and create a checklist, I could create a checklist from a basic Word document and write it perfect, meticulous, whatever. But I would not do that. I would legitimately Google like a checklist, whatever. And I would look at that and I would just, make some adjustments, whatever, to make it, like, again,
There it is.
I'm going to be more efficient. Right. And that's like little things like that, man. Checklists. People underestimate the value of checklists and just how important they are, especially to a growing company. But the fact is, when you're an organization, you need structure and you need consistency. And the way that you maintain that, the way that you set the people that are there up for success and the new people that you bring on board, is to make shit as easy as possible. And by having a checklist to reference, to make sure, there's a reason why pilots that have been flying for 50 fucking years will use the same checklist that they've been using forever, pre-flight and post-flight. Although they could recite the checklist in their sleep, although they literally could go through it without looking at it, there's a reason that they don't. Because they make things easy on themselves and they understand like the responsibility they have and the possible consequences of what could happen if they miss something. And again, in that line of work, it's a lot more, somebody could get killed, right? Like a lot of people could get killed, but it's basically the same kind of concepts. Like this is what needs to get done. This is the way that it needs to get done. So why would I even risk trying to do something from memory, whatever? Dude, again, another way that losers think, like, oh, I know what to do. Like, dude, that it's, although you may know what to do, the fact is you will not do it as thoroughly. You will miss something at some point that could possibly cost your company a shitload of money, could potentially get somebody hurt, could potentially have disastrous consequences. It's about following directions, being consistent, and figuring out ways to where you get the result that you're after every fucking time in the most seamless manner possible. So improving on process, improving on existing process, improving efficiency, obviously falls into the same boat. Another way that I believe look, this one's, guys, tune in for this next one, because this is something, I got two examples here that legitimately you guys can do, because I know you guys don't have what I'm about to say within your organizations. I just know this for a fact. Implement new process that brings value to an organization and the team within. So again, we talked about existing process, looking for ways to improve those. Yeah. And now we're talking about implementing a new process that might not necessarily it's something that the company's not doing. But by doing it, it will bring value to the entire organization and the team. And the two things that I have listed here as an example is to organize a personal development program where, obviously in our company, personal development is mandatory. Yeah. And it's mandatory because I understand the value in it. I'm willing to invest in the team because I want them to be better. And I'm also not ignorant to the fact that it helps our company and me personally get better. Yeah. Right? Dude, no companies do that. They might have some little bullshit.
That's why the culinary department helps out the shipping department when they get off early.
And that's why so many people here that started in the culinary department worked their way up to higher value positions. That's why a guy that's sitting in this fucking room right now, he started in logistics. You know what I'm saying? And because of the personal development, he recognized opportunity to do something that wasn't being done. And fucking here we are. Good job, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Good job, man.
I started mopping puddles actually.
Yeah. and with a good attitude, by the way. I caught him one time out there mopping a puddle. It was a very proud moment for me. So why would I have the people here mop puddles? Well, as FNGs, we are assessing their ability to take pride and have a good attitude with very, very undesirable tasks. Okay, there's that. And then, out there, there's some potholes and little obstructions that puddles kind of accrue in. People are walking to and from. If somebody turns their ankle, they're pushing the racks with the boxes before they, a wheel could fall on the thing and could tip over. So it's a safety thing. But I was walking through one of the offices and Matt was out there and he was mopping a puddle, but it was weird because he was kind of on his hands and knees and he was actually documenting on his phone and explaining what he was doing and why he was fucking doing it on his social media. It was legitimately top 10,
That is awesome.
one of the top 10 proudest moments of my career. Like, I loved it. It's like, fuck, like this is the standard.
So again, we turn to Matt. A great example of doing the little things.
I mean, there's a reason he's at this fucking table, man.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's a direct result of
and that should speak volumes to anybody listening.
Yeah, so mop some fucking puddles, man.
And now he's at the table.
With a good attitude and documenting on social media. He wasn't like doing it like, oh, fuck, I hope nobody sees me, whatever. Dude, he's putting it out there.
This dickhead's making me mop a puddle.
No. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. But either way, guys, like, personal development program, and honestly, it doesn't have to be as meticulous as the one that we have here, which has a lot of structure. It is a lot of energy. It costs me a shitload of money. Like, but again, all that money comes back because I believe that every dollar that is invested in that, I mean, there's like a 300% return. I mean, an expert in training articulated that to me. He said there's research that actually shows that's the case. So, fail-safe investment. But just developing like a book list, right? Like creating a book list of books that, I mean, if you're in sales, like a top 5, top 10 book list of books that would make you better at sales, communication, again, just overall personal development, right? Like mindset, things like that. Not just making the book list, but like setting up a process where, because I mean, look, anybody can like hand out a book list and like, what's the actual probability of the people that are going to read it? I mean, dude, it's disturbing. Like, I think it's like 95% of people, like after high school, they never read a book again. And like, that's the thing. Like, that's why most people are most fucking people, because they're not doing the things they need to do to evolve.
They'd rather play video games.
Yeah, dude. So creating the book list, but then having some sort of accountability structure where, I mean, the way that we do it here, it does require some work, and it requires the people that are actually doing it to care.
But you have to understand it's an investment, or people need to understand it's an investment, and it pays off huge.
Dude, it's how you're going to create a gratuitous amount of value in your organization, not only in yourself, but in so many other fucking people, that is going to legitimately move the needle of the company, not maybe 100%. And it will require some fucking work. It requires some energy. So you have to figure out a way to set it up where you lay out the books and then have some sort of like follow-up structure to make sure that people are actually doing it. And one of the things that we do here with one of the assignments, everybody that starts here actually is assigned day one extreme ownership. Okay. And they listen to the audio version, and it's, I think 14 chapters, and every day they come in the morning, first thing, and they have a report that has been written on each chapter, and it outlines a couple things. What was the leadership lesson learned? All right. So that basically shows us they actually read the shit.
Yeah, sure.
How would I apply said leadership lesson at Nutrition Solutions? How would I apply this leadership lesson in my personal life? And they read it in front of the entire team. So we're giving them the training. We're helping them learn about our culture. Extreme ownership is a core value here. They're just getting better. And B, we're having it set up to where like they're doing it every day, their first 14 days. So there's that accountability. And also like when the people they're reading it in front of, they'll hear it. So then they'll have the opportunity to learn from the things as well. And then, you know, the other thing that's really, really valuable is we're putting people that probably have never in their life like talked in front of a group of people in a very uncomfortable position where they're beginning to learn to develop their confidence by working on their public speaking skills. We're basically pushing them
which is the
into
thing
the deep end.
Are scared of.
Right. But how do you get over things that you're scared?
You go through it. You
fucking do it anyway.
You go through it scared.
That's a big thing too. That like,
massive.
You could massively level up. Like you tackle, you know, the fear of public speaking. Like
it's a huge
everything
one.
else is a cakewalk after that. Almost, you know.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's like it's getting to a point where you're comfortable being uncomfortable. That's when you really start winning.
100%. So yeah, there's that, and then the second thing I had here was organizing a physical training program, like a workout program. Obviously, those of you guys who follow along with my company, Nutrition Solutions, you know that I pay our team to work out. Those who show up to train are compensated. They're on the clock. They're clocked in. I have no problem making that investment because I know that hour that they spend doing the training is going to make them more efficient and effective and productive in the remaining hours of the day. I believe we touched on that in a previous episode as well. But again, I am very well aware that most people cannot make their company do something like that. It's a very, very unorthodox thing. I don't think anybody in the world is doing that. Legitimately paying people.
They have gyms, but that's about it.
Right.
It's not as mandatory.
But with you getting together the like-minded people and developing some sort of regimented like time that after work or before work, you guys get together at a certain gym and you're basically you're in there with the team. So you're building morale, increasing morale. You guys are building your physical body. You're developing your fitness, but you're also developing the mental edge, right? Because we talked about the importance of fitness as it relates to the mindset. By having that be something organized, by you being the one to spearhead that, you'll probably realistically, real talk, the first time that we had the inaugural Nutrition Solutions pre-work PT session, guess how many people were there?
3, right? It's like you, Marcus, and
really?
Maybe Chef Matt.
One fucking person.
No way.
One person that worked at Nutrition Solutions, and then one other guy who didn't, who just was out of shape and wanted to get in shape, showed up. One fucking team member from Nutrition Solutions. Wow. That is very impressive that you remember that. Yeah. Matt, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. One person showed up. Wow. Now, I mean, dude, they're out there crushing it. Everybody's in their gear. Everybody's coming out like, wearing the Nutrition Solutions colors, training hard, awesome vibes. And we went from doing we did the stairs for 40 minutes that first time. Now we have a fully functional, basically CrossFit gym setup that we set up in our parking lot and we crush the workout. And it's pretty fucking awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So understand that, guys, you're not going to have the first workout that, you organize. Hey, if nobody shows up, whatever, you keep fucking going, you keep pressing, you stay resilient, because that one person that does show up, the next time it'll be 2. Yeah. And you know what? At that point, you've doubled. Instead of saying, "Oh, there's only 2," no, you've doubled the amount of people
that's true.
That have showed up to this thing. Now you got some momentum, and if you keep that momentum going, it's only a matter of time before those people just start telling people. You guys share it on your social media, show the stories. People take note of that. More people show up. More importantly, your supervisors, your boss, people are going to fucking look at wow, this person really cares. This person is taking that type of initiative to contribute in this organization. Let's keep our eye on this person. Let's see what else maybe we can, think for them to do. Let's bring them in on something. And you've gotten recognized now. Now you're on the spotlight and you're under the spotlight, and it's your responsibility to continue to be.
True.
Next thing, obviously, how do you bring value to organization? Bring in more money. Look, some of you guys, this applies to directly. Some it does not. I mean, if you're in a sales position, or if you're in a corporate position, if you have the ability to sell more, if you have the ability to develop an additional line of revenue, do that shit. Think about, what could I possibly do to help our company make more money? And again, a lot of that is dependent on your position in regard to if you are in sales, which a lot of people are, but a lot of it isn't. A lot of it is just mindset. A lot of it is just, again, taking initiative, man, and treating the company like it's yours.
If someone really had initiative, they would learn as much as they could about the clientele and their needs. And once they figured that out,
what's something else?
Something might come into effect. We're like, hey, we can do this for our clients.
Totally. Another way beyond that is to save the company money, which is a lot easier than learning how to create an additional product line or 10x your sales. Saving money in a company, especially a bigger company, a corporate company.
Oh, it's big.
Dude, and it's so fucking simple because the thing is, in organizations like that, the people who are in charge of ordering this shit, they don't give a fuck. They don't fucking care. So they don't keep up with the fact that, in the last 2 years, they're actually ordering double the amount of containers than they were, whatever. And nobody's ever bothered to follow up, and because the companies aren't going to come to you and say, hey, guess what? We'll actually give these to you cheaper now since you're buying a substantial amount more. People don't give a fuck, dude. And that's the thing. you got to give a fuck. Again, if it was your company, if it was your fucking bank account that all of these expenses were coming out of, what would you do? And look for areas to save money, because honest to God, man, the amount of opportunity that there is in any given company, my own included, currently, to save money, which, again, you're not saving money to cut quality.
No, you're making the right decisions that are best for the company. I mean, I'm the president of a condo association, and we're talking about a lot of money with things. Like when we got to look at roofs, I mean, they're $200,000 to replace.
Yeah.
And if your budget, I mean, if the reserves are $200,000, if you're not careful, you can wipe out everything, and then you have to, tag people with assessments, and
it's just like
you
anything,
have to be
Rick.
very careful. You have to make very good decisions. Exactly.
In our personal lives, if something, I don't know, a dishwasher breaks at the house, right? Like, we could, if money wasn't an issue, which, the people here, we probably wouldn't source, because our time, whatever. But most people, like, they're on certain budgets, they have certain limitations. Most people responsibly will get multiple quotes. Here, anything that's over $500, we will procure 3 quotes for, to make sure we're getting the best quality and the best price. So, like, just like you would do that with your personal life, if you're buying a car, right, a used car, you're not going to go find the first car, like, and buy that. You want a 2015 Maxima. You're not going to go Google one, find the first one. You're going to look at several of them, and you're going to find the best value, the best deal, because, again, that affects you, and that is the same mentality.
It has to be like, it has to win. Whatever the decision you make everyone has to win. It can't be like, getting back to the roof story. We were going to do $196,000 to replace a roof for the condo association. The reserves were like just over $200,000, so it would have decimated everything. Well, I interviewed a bunch of people, and I started to understand the roof had some more life, and we could actually coat it for $40,000 and get everything taken care of, and set ourselves up for the next 10 years with a good warranty, and go on living without these issues.
It's amazing what you can discover and uncover when you do the work.
You got to do the research. You got to talk to a lot of people. You got to talk to people who are professionals.
You have to care.
You have to care.
Yeah, all the things you said, that is an organic byproduct of caring.
Yeah.
Of giving a fuck.
You have to treat it like it's your own place. I work with a contractor. He said to me once, the guy's awesome, by the way. Jeff Sullivan, you're out there. You're awesome, man.
Shout out to Jeff Sullivan.
Dude, guy's great.
What up, Sully?
But he doesn't do
I don't
anything.
know him, by the way.
He doesn't do anything that he wouldn't do to his own home. It's a great mentality.
That's a fucking phenomenal mentality.
Because my friend just worked with a contractor, bare minimum job. Oh, you didn't say that. That's not in the contract. I left a hole in the floor. That was that wasn't there. I mean, just crap. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How are these people still in business? They won't be.
No, hell no. Or they'll just struggle, right? They'll just struggle for the rest of their life. But there's so much opportunity, guys. Like, depending on your skill set, depending on your experience, like, start at the bottom level. How much is your company spending on pens every month? How much are they spending on copy paper? Legitimately, look into that shit. And when you see, like, the fact, it's like, holy shit, like, most of you, again, you don't think of these things. Like, oh, this stuff just comes from somewhere. No, like, that's a fucking thing that, like, and there's probably 1,000 other things like that. And we're talking about a lot of money that people just don't care to claim. These big corporations that make a ton of money, they don't give a fuck about their employees. They pay them the least, do the most. But the fucking fact is, like, you can separate yourself from the herd pretty fucking quickly and put yourself on the map if you demonstrate to the higher ups that you're actually somebody who gives a shit about the company and gives a shit about saving the money.
You could put yourself in a position to make a deal. You could say, look, I got this idea,
dude,
that could make you $50,000 extra. Can I have 5% of it? You can make your own deals.
I would
smart
gladly
enough.
take that offer.
Why wouldn't you? It'd be great.
But, dude, the thing is, like, people that care about, like, making a company more money and say, like, more profitable, I should say, dude, they're always going to be looked at favorably.
Yeah, of course.
Like, and that's the thing, and that's the people need to understand that
they give a fuck.
Yes, you have the ability to be one of those people, guys. So,
and where does it start? It starts by giving a fuck about yourself when you wake up and you commit to excellence in every damn thing we've been talking about.
Fuck yeah.
You make it happen, and you become excellent at work, and then you get ahead.
And then the opportunities will be abundant. The last thing, the fifth thing, it was 5. the fifth thing here, this isn't something that, you'll see in any books, right now. Normally it's just those things I just mentioned, which are improve on process, develop new process that will bring value to an organization, bring in more revenue, increase sales, or save the company money. Those are the big four. But this one is something that, again, like I just kind of like made a note here, and I didn't write it up the best possible way. But being that I've seen people that weren't very skilled employees. They didn't really save us any money directly. They didn't save us any money directly. They didn't improve on any existing process directly, nor did they implement new process directly. But I've had so many people that were basically like just beacons of positivity and good energy that just came in, and they were just always in a good mood, just putting out good vibes, smiling, moved fast, like just the people like that you want around.
Yeah.
You want those, the people you always want around you because you feel a little better.
Yep.
Those people. And it's not so much, the fact that they didn't do any of those things, but I know that their presence created a situation where other people around them were able to perform at a higher level to contribute the things that we had just mentioned.
Valuable.
Which basically, literally, by being that person, it actually checks every single one of those four boxes.
Yeah. And it's
indirectly.
And it's unbelievable if they're actually skilled at what they do. And they had, I worked with a makeup artist back in the day, and I worked with many good makeup artists who were unbelievable. But one in particular, Hope, Hope, she was like, she treated people like rock stars, and like, that's what you want. You want people to come in and feel good. It's like, it raises the bar for everything. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You may not be the best. You might not be the fastest. You might not be the most experienced. You might not be the most organized. You might not be the most disciplined. You might not be the most structured. You might not be the best at your job in comparison to the people around you currently. But you have the ability at any given time to fucking turn it on and become the most positive, the most vibrant, the most grateful. Yeah. And to always be the guy or girl that, despite a situation, despite how crazy the day gets, the week gets, or like an increased workload, you maintain a smile and a positive attitude in the process, because that, my friends, cascades a just whole lot of positive energy and light that will impact people on a level that you cannot possibly comprehend or understand. It's massive.
It really is. It's undervalued. I agree with you on that 100%.
Most people don't think about that type of shit.
So it's huge.
Yeah. So this is, like, guys, look, you got to create your own opportunities, and that's what we're talking about here. You got to create your own opportunities, and you do that by taking the action steps and doing the things that we have talked about on a consistent basis. So let's give a couple examples. We talked about a janitor, and we talked about how we do that. Let's look at somebody. Let's say somebody's a bellhop at a hotel. Ooh, that's easy.
What do you got?
Man, you got to give me a hard one. So if I'm a bellhop, there's so many. So like, let's say you're a bellhop, and obviously you get paid hourly, probably a low hourly wage, but you are eligible and have the opportunity to make tips. Now, most bellhops, average bellhops, not the bellhops that will listen to this podcast, no doubt, will do the bare minimum, right? They got to open the fucking door. If they have to, like, bring the suitcase up, they're going to do all that shit. They're going to do the things that they're expected to do, and they're going to expect to get monetarily compensated because of it. And then they're going to wonder when they don't get the good tips, like, oh, that person's cheap, that person, whatever. Like, and you could just check the boxes and do your fucking job, or you could legitimately, like, blow people's fucking mind with how positive you are, how professional you are. You don't ask them, you just do. You just set things up. Like, you go above and beyond, like little things that make people want to give you more money. Most people, like, that are not, like, cheap as hell will, like, give you, like, a tip anyway because they think it's, like, part of the thing. Yeah. but that tip will look a lot different predicated off your actions. I mean, if I'm a bellhop, I'm taking note immediately of how long that individual is going to be like, hey, Mr. Chef, how long are you going to be with us? Like, not an intrusive question, polite. And that person, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days, whatever. So I'm taking note of that, right? And I'm having that documented somewhere. And I realize that, okay, I have not just this time that I've just carried these individuals' bags to their room. This is not the only I have 3, 4, 5. These are all days and opportunities. I have to make an impact on this person that will not only make their stay here more comfortable, which will in turn get them to recommend to their friends, to their coworkers, to their peers, to their family, but also get themselves to come back, bringing value to the hotel. But I have the opportunity to make more money from this person. So now that I have this information, now that I know that, okay, roger that. I'm documenting like in my in wherever I make my notes, because look, you're a bellhop, you're meeting tons of people. When you see this person again, what's a pretty important thing that you're going to want to remember?
Their name.
Their fucking name.
Yeah.
And honestly, people love that. People love
they do.
hearing that. And when you do like that right there is impressive all in itself. And again, you proactively look for things to do, not just wait around because they might not need it. You proactively, you do things that typically you would expect people to tip you for. You do them just to do them, not because you were asked. And when you do more than what you were paid for, you will constantly.
I mean, there's so much opportunity there,
dude. There's all kinds of opportunity.
You like
if you're authorized, if you can give them your cell, like if you can give them your cell phone. I mean, it depends on the policy, but I mean, like even if there was a policy, I don't really give a fuck.
Think about like what we started talking about. A bellhop would be like almost the first impression someone's going to have of an establishment, right?
And last,
right?
Yeah.
So if they're well groomed, if they're committed to excellence in everything they do, the way they talk to you, the way they respect you, they might joke with you, like whatever it is that gets them to stand out, and they follow through with excellent service.
Dude,
there's no boundaries to where
like, I don't even give a shit if if it's like, oh, you can't give this, whatever. Like if I'm giving my cell phone to someone and say, listen, so I went ahead and I wrote my my number down on this card. I would write like a little note, like, hey, Mr. Schaff, enjoy your stay here at the World Plaza Hotel. Yeah. If there's anything that I can do for you, anything at all, these are the times that I'm here. You can even hit me. You can even text me when I'm not at work, and I'll make sure any needs that you have, dude. I'm doing that.
Agreed.
And honestly, I don't know that, like if my manager finds out I'm doing that, do you think that my manager is going to be upset about the fact that I'm taking this extra initiative, the fact that I'm legitimately improving the experience that this individual has at the hotel? The fact that you're making more money personally, I mean, that's just like the icing on the cake, man.
Yeah. And then depending on, how big the hotel is or whatever, you find out what their interests are and you take them to the right people.
Dude, it's endless.
Activities.
Endless.
It just goes on and on.
So you go on their social media, now you have their name. Find something that's important to them. When they're out of the hotel room, literally go stop them. Hey, when they're out of the hotel, when housekeeping goes and cleans it up, have housekeeping let you know. You go up there, you make like some sort of little collage, like those the towel little, like, I mean, you learn how to make a crocodile out of towels. It's very impressive and it's very doable. Where you set that up on the bed, handwritten note, thanking them for staying, hope everything is comfortable, and then having some of the pictures, like from their social media, things that are important to them, their family, if they went to University of Nebraska, things like that, dude, that blows people's fucking minds. Yeah. And it will.
And they never forget it.
They never forget, and it will, in turn, make you a lot of fucking money. What else you got? I want another.
So now on a higher level, let's say you're the director of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if I'm the director at the hotel, like obviously I'm doing all the things that we said here. I'm looking constantly to improve on process. I'm definitely implementing a personal development program on top of like a lot of companies think, oh, we have training. It's like, dude, no. You do training when you hire someone new. You teach them how to do their job and you call that training. That's not training. Yeah. That's you showing them what the fuck that they are supposed to. Like training is ongoing. It's never ending. It's constant. It's constantly taking action to get better, and it's not just new training and new diversifying. You gotta touch on some of the the basics and the fundamentals. This morning I did a training here on something that, I mean, it's as elementary as it gets, but it is so fucking important. And I recognize the importance of continuously doing that. So I'm developing a better training program than because you're in a big ass hotel like that, they have their shit ironclad before the first brick is laid, right? They have processes, they have their little training thing. I'm looking for ways to make it better. I'm looking for ways to monetize it. I'm looking for ways to develop the leadership in there. I'm sending them to, I'm definitely doing like what I do here with the extreme ownership book report. I'm doing that. I'm sending them.
Which I think is like incredibly vital. It's probably the biggest problem is not taking responsibility. So
dude,
that's like a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. That's a great book too.
I'm going to send my leaders, I'm going to send them to different leadership seminars, right? Like, so they can get that advanced, that specialized training, so they can come back and bring that knowledge and execute that and make the people around them better. I'm setting things up in such a way where the people, just like I have in my company, I'm setting shit up in such a way where there's no fucking way that people can't get better. Yeah. And by doing that, what's going to happen? The people are going to get better. The business is going to get better.
It's true.
People, like, I'm not only looking for ways to improve on process. I'm not only looking for ways to save money, to bring in more money. Yeah. I'm teaching other people how to do that shit because I'm in a position where I can, which creates a shit ton of fucking value, which 100%, I mean, I don't know what the top position is at the hotel, but that's what I'm gunning for. I'm not only doing things that I'm doing, I'm looking at what the person above me is doing, and I'm doing his fucking job too. I'm doing his job better than he is because I have all the people below me so fucking up to speed and operating at such a high level that I don't have to do shit except hold them accountable, whatever, and I can go for the next thing.
It's also, I think, important too to make sure people understand the big picture. So I do vacation rentals, right? And I always tell people, it's like, I don't rent stuff out. My job is to create memories.
Yeah.
If you think of it that way, now it's a different thing.
And we've had this conversation with some of the things that you do for your guests to make their experience that much more memorable. What are a couple little things that you've done to just kind of show them that you care? And
I leave them a bottle of wine typically. So sometimes if they have a special thing going on, well, then it's your card and a little handwritten thing, happy birthday, whatever it is.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah, it's a little thing.
Simple.
It's a little thing, but they love it.
Massive.
Yeah, they love it, man.
Yeah.
But people ask, you find out their interest, like why they're coming. First of all, to Tampa, and then you can play on that.
Absolutely.
If it's there for,
and you think to ask that because you care.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, you're right in the chat. Like you don't.
Yeah,
again,
and it's funny because you'll ask somebody and they'll be like, "Oh, I just want to go to the beach."
Yep.
And I'll be like, "Oh, if you want to go to the beach, my place is actually in Tampa. There are no beaches in Tampa. So if you want a real beach experience, you need to go look at Clearwater. I have a condo there too."
Right.
But when I didn't, I would turn people away.
Of course.
Because I want them to.
You're solving problems, brother.
I want them to have the experience that they want. I don't want them to get to Tampa and be like, "Shit, I didn't know Clearwater Beach is 30 minutes from here or 20
And guess
minutes.
what? You turn down the money right there, which most people can't conceive that in their mind. But it has a funny way of always coming back and abundance.
Yeah, because those same people will be like, well, if we ever come to Tampa again.
And then they're referring people to you. It's just, it's fail safe. And again, that is problem solving. It's not about making the money. It's about solving a problem. It's about solving a problem, doing the best job that you can, and doing it in a way that selflessly serves others, that makes their experience, whether it's at the hotel, whether it's staying at one of your homes that you rent, or whether it's clients that give our company here the opportunity to help them reach their goals. Sure. It's about them, putting other people first and caring.
Yeah, and that's what the people at the top do. They make you see the big picture. Right?
That is all I got today.
It's good.
You guys have anything?
No.
Cool.
That's solid.
Little things to big things.
So. Yeah. How you do one thing is I do all things. Matt, Rick, thank you.
Yeah, man.
This is good stuff. Those of you who took the time to listen, thank you very, very much. The support means a lot to us. Guys, if you haven't yet taken the time, leave us a review. It legitimately takes 10 seconds, and it helps us out so much. It means so much to me. And look, there's a disproportionate number of people that are listening to people that are actually leaving reviews. So this is one of those times where, like, you got to understand that you matter, and it helps us. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep giving you guys all the value. We're going to keep teaching you all the shit that, we know, that we've experienced, all the new shit that we know. Please understand that you guys play a huge role in this. And by taking the time to share the podcast to a friend, posting it on your social and your stories, you guys are doing a great job at that. We got to get those reviews up though, guys, because, as I said, I'm going to keep putting out there. This podcast will be amongst the best in the world. And the way that we do that is by people taking the time to leave those reviews. Because I get a ton of messages from people that are telling me how awesome, amazing the podcast is. Mm-hmm. And it's like, fuck, thank you. But I wish you would put it on the review thing, so like the world will see it and it helps us rank. So I really hate, I'm not doing this podcast to ask you guys for anything. I'm not selling you anything, right? Like, we're not in here like this is not like some roundabout pitch for some product trying to jam down your fucking throat. The one request that I have, the thing that you could do for me, the thing that you could do for us, the thing that you could do that would actually contribute a ton of value to us and to the podcast, is by taking the time to leave a review. I have a link in my Instagram bio that you can do that. It actually is super easy to leave it on iTunes. So guys, make that happen. Thank you for listening. Much love. Kill the rest of the week. And we'll see you soon.
Cool.
Hour and a half. Good stuff.
That was longer, huh?
Yeah, it was an hour and a half.
That's